What's up guys, it's Jordan, and today I'm going to be making a video that isn't like my normal news videos. However, because of a couple recent updates on Returnal's SteamDB page, it does seem that the Returnal PC port may be ready for an announcement. Because of these updates on Returnal and really all that's led up to this video of PlayStation PC port news, it sparked an idea for this specific discussion for these ports and why they are an absolutely brilliant idea by Sony. Before we get to the reasons why I believe Sony is making the right moves here, I do actually want to quickly cover this Returnal PC port update, and then we'll dive a little deeper into the reasons I believe PlayStation is doing the right thing here. Alright, so yes, like I said, there have been a good amount of updates on Returnal's SteamDB page, which could indicate this is the next PC port that will be revealed by Sony. Returnal is one of the few games that were actually on the NVIDIA leak, which is 100% accurate, and whether or not this game is the very next port announced by Sony is yet to be determined. However, due to, actual Returnal PC settings leaks, it definitely will come eventually. And then this is also the case for Sackboy, if you guys didn't know. So let's start from the beginning, when Sony decided to test the waters on PC ports. Sony's introductory first-party port to PC was Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out on PC on August 7th in 2020. When this game first came to PC, it received a ton of backlash due to the quality of the port. Horizon Zero Dawn on PC suffered from crashes, performance issues, and visual bugs. Eventually, Sony worked out the kinks to this port, and it's now been met with positive reception from the community. After Horizon Zero Dawn, the next first-party game from PlayStation that was ported to PC was obviously Days Gone. The game released 9 months after Horizon Zero Dawn and was a hit within the PC community. It didn't feature too many bugs at all and performed exceptionally well for lower-end hardware, but still benefited graphically with higher-end hardware. As a PC gamer, it was wild to even think we lived in a time where these games found another platform. Then Sony took a decent break for the rest of 2021 regarding PC ports until they made an announcement at their Sony showcase they do once a year. In this event, they announced that Uncharted: The Lost Legacy collection, which includes Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and The Lost Legacy, was getting a remaster for the PS5 and the PC. This was great news for PC fans as it was the first game announcement that Sony conducted with an initial announcement for PC support. This also wouldn't be the last time they did something like this. Only 3 days after Sony had announced Uncharted Lost Legacy for PC, there was probably the biggest gaming leak in the last decade. On September 12th, 2021, a user by the name Igor July found access to the GeForce Now database and revealed several unannounced games from Microsoft, Square Enix, Capcom, Take-Two, EA, Bandai Namco, Atlas, and of course Sony. There were many other developers and publishers working on games. Now, it's pretty much confirmed this database leak is 100% accurate in terms of projects that are currently being worked on, or at least at a time were being worked on. Tons of these titles found in the database were revealed fairly soon after. Today I want to focus on the Sony section of unannounced games for PC. The Sony games that were found in this leak are as follows. Starting off, we have Uncharted, which was revealed just 3 days before the leak. Then the names got interesting. God of War, Returnal, Sackboy, Ratchet & Clank, Demon Souls, Ghost of Tsushima, and even Horizon Forbidden West. At the time, this made no sense to a lot of gamers, especially considering that a title like God of War was on the leak. Now, why in the world would Sony bring such a successful exclusive to another platform? Well, let's talk about it. After this Nvidia leak, a month would go by without news regarding another PC port from Sony, until October 20th when PlayStation themselves shocked the world. The 2018 Game of the Year, God of War, would be heading to the PC platform. It proved that the Nvidia leak was correct on God of War making an appearance to the platform. It shocked a ton of people, especially because for so long, PlayStation was the console that had the AAA Game of the Year exclusives, and they only were ever available on their system. It was something Sony themselves wasn't sure of doing for a long time, but because of the success via Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, God of War was headed to PC very soon. So back to the question, why would Sony do this? Well, right off the bat, I'll tell you one of the most obvious reasons. Money. Within the corporate world of consumer tech, it's blatantly obvious that software sells much easier than hardware. Take a look at Sony, for example. The PS5 costs $399 to $499 at MSRP, and it probably costs Sony $300 to $400 to manufacture each console. The profit margin is very low. Software, on the other hand, games in this case, take a cost of computing power, labor, talent, marketing, which probably ends up being the most amount of capital spent during the entire creation. But then after, you sell copies. You can sell digital copies of your software. The profit margin skyrockets when you sell millions and millions of copies, especially if you sell them on multiple platforms. Sure, we do still have discs, albeit it is a dying market, but you can see how more and more people buying digitally leads to software sales success. This almost puts Sony in a perfect scenario to actually print money. It may sound cliche, but they understand their position as well. They are porting successful games to another platform. They understand that these games will sell extremely well. This begs the question as to how Sony will actually conduct these ports, and that's where we look at two things. First, we need to analyze Jim Ryan's statement on PlayStation PC ports and how he said, quote, a whole slate of PC ports are coming from PlayStation. If you have the PlayStation CEO coming out and making statements like that, you can't help but smile as a PC gamer. Next, we have to look at PlayStation's recent acquisitions, specifically Nix's Software. Nix's Software is a game development company that was bought by PlayStation to directly port their games to PC. So based on these two instances alone, it is clear that PlayStation is set on working within the PC platform from here on out. That's where we get to May 10th, 2022, when Sony made an announcement on their recent investment strategies and how they were going to inject $300 million into existing first-party studios to, quote, grow the game business by strengthening our first-party software and deploying that software on multiple platforms, most likely referring to these PC ports. Then comes June 2nd, a day no gamer ever saw coming.
Get ready, a PlayStation fan favorite is coming to PC.
These past few years, sacrificing so much and asking for nothing.
If you want to change the world, you have to be the kind of man who can make the hardest decisions.
That's right. Who in their right mind ever thought Sony would be bringing an actual console-selling game to the PC platform? A game, mind you, as successful as Spider-Man. I wish I was recording my reaction to this state of play because I was absolutely stunned. This was a title that was not in the NVIDIA leak, had no reasons to being the next port by PlayStation, but they shocked us all and said, boom, Spider-Man Remastered is coming to PC. What's crazy is during this state of play, Sony failed to even mention how Miles Morales would also be coming to PC. The Miles Morales PC port was announced via a blog post that also went over the Spider-Man Remastered PC port. This port was made by Nix's Software, which was the same development company that Sony had just bought almost one full year ago. After this was revealed, I was convinced that everything was coming over. Just when you thought the news would slow down, we come to the Summer Games Fest on June 9th. Just a week later, when Naughty Dog would announce The Last of Us Part 1 for the PS5, but also the PC. Remember when we talked about Uncharted The Lost Legacy Collection coming to PC? Within the first initial announcement, Sony announced it was coming to PC. Well, Sony would do this again with the announcement of The Last of Us Part 1 coming to PC. At this point, PlayStation wasn't even hiding the possibility of the game coming to PC. Direct and straight to the point, it's coming to PC sometime later after the PS5 release. Now that brings us full circle as to where it stands as of now with PlayStation in the market. Now I want to quickly go over what I believe is next for PlayStation and where they may be on the platform in the coming years. Unfortunately, we still do not have a release date for the Lost Legacy Collection, and my dream scenario is there is a reason behind this. The game was announced for PC before God of War, yet it still isn't on the platform. In my humble opinion, I really hope it's for one reason. Sony knows they're missing some money on the table by just porting over Uncharted 4. I really do hope that Sony realized instead of porting just the Lost Legacy Collection, they also start working on porting over the Nathan Drake Collection. A lot of PC gamers who probably have never played Uncharted would take the release of the Lost Legacy a little weird, as they've probably never played any of the 3 games before it. It could be a much harder sell to gamers if they don't have any experience with the previous entries to the series. These are just my thoughts free-floating, so don't be surprised if this game is just delayed for development issues, and the Nathan Drake Collection is not planned for PC at all. The Demon's Souls remake was in the GeForce leak, so that should be coming without a doubt. However, I know what a lot of us want on PC, and that's Bloodborne. My opinion on this doesn't matter, but dude, it's gonna be on PC one day, and I'll just leave it at that. Bloodborne was a PS4 game like God of War, which came to PC, Uncharted, PC, Spider-Man, PC, but Bloodborne sold extremely well due to it being an actual masterpiece by FromSoft. PlayStation knows damn well it needs to be on another platform, especially with how big the modding community is on PC for Souls games. The demand only gets higher. I also want to quickly give my thoughts on the topic of day and date game releases for PS5 and PC games. I do believe this is the path Sony will eventually follow. However, there are just so many games that have been out for a while and need a PC port way more than a new title does. If we saw The Last of Us Remake have a PC announcement during its reveal, who is to say that God of War Ragnarok is also in development for PC already? PlayStation most likely has a schedule they want to follow, and that makes sense as you probably don't want to drop all these exclusives in one time frame when a lot of gamers may not be ready for multiple titles. Back to day and date. Yes, I think it will happen, especially if Sony is looking into making multiplayer games again. Going day and date on PC will be massively beneficial for high player counts and maintaining active player bases. As far as single player exclusives go, I think they will eventually come day and date, but PlayStation has some catching up to do with some older titles before we get to that point. To end the discussion here, I just want to mention a couple of notes. This video was entirely made to be as neutral as possible and just try to make light of how awesome it is that we get to see more and more gamers play these titles. I have experience with pretty much all of the PlayStation titles we've mentioned today and can't be more excited to have more and more players get their hands on them. I can't wait to install custom suit mods on Spider-Man Remastered, play Bloodborne on my Steam Deck, or even just enjoy the games once again on much better hardware. I believe Sony could be setting a standard on how important getting most players a chance to experience these games is what gamers want. Sure, I'd love if Nintendo started to port Bayonetta 2 onto Steam, but these moves by PlayStation start to open the eyes to other developers and publishers that there is money to be made on other platforms, and also getting games to a broader audience is important. Thanks so much for watching this video. It started out with some news regarding Returnal, but it actually just turned into a personal blog, and I'm okay with that. Let me know what you guys think of all we've discussed today and what you personally see happening in the future. Thanks so much. See you in the next one.